The therapist helped me get my money in my own name. I called Social Security office and I used the system the correct way. I asked them, could I return back to work? They told me yes. You know, they explained to me that we won't even cut your money off. You can use it up to a year, and if you can hold a job, you can get, you can start back working. And I made sure I did everything right, because I didn't want nothing to backfire. So after I got my GED, I enrolled in college. I started at Alabama. At Alabama's, I can't even think of the name, sorry, but in Gilbertown. I started going to school at South in Gilbertown. I had went there all the time to take my GED, and I was so happy. So I just got my GED, and I enrolled in college. I wanted to do psychology, but I just decided to do something else. I had start back working. It's like God redid it all over again. I started back working. I started working as a waitress at a fish camp. They just had a new fish camp in Chatham, and I was just looking for a job. I got the job. They had just opened that restaurant, and I started taking classes, and I started working and going to college. I built that dream. So happy. I had applied for an apartment just looking around back in 2009, and it was 2011. I was on a waiting list for about 2 years, and I finally got that apartment. And I didn't know nothing about Mobile. All I knew, I had to get out. I had to learn. I didn't know how to drive on the interstate. I had never done that stuff, because so much fear was placed in me by people, and I challenged myself. I had to learn how. I had to. So I got in school, and that letter came in about me leaving. At first I turned it down because everybody was scaring me and said, oh, there's so much crime in Mobile. And, my sisters and stuff was worried for me out of fear. But I drove to Mobile by myself one time, and then I came back and I realized that I could do this. So I called them people back, and I told them I wanted the apartment. I had threw the letter away and everything. And I made the decision that I'm going to get this apartment. I don't care. I believe God take care of me. And everybody was telling me where I was moving. I moved in the projects, and it's a bad area. But I didn't have no problems because God kept his angels around me. So I moved after, they sent the letter. I transferred from South to Bishop State. And I didn't know anything really about Bishop State. I just knew I wanted to go there. I had transferred. I put in my 2 weeks notice at my job. I had a job, everything. Car was raggedy. Many times I was trying to get to Mobile, the car would stop on the road, crank it back up. I kept pushing that gas. I kept coming. I had so much stuff packed up in my car. I told Mama I would keep in contact with her. I kept in contact with her, and then by that time, it was time for me to get in school. Me and my mom and an uncle by marriage, we drove to Evergreen. We drove to Evergreen for mama. Her case was approved. She got the help that she needed. Came back from Evergreen. Went back to Mobile. Just moving in the apartment. And I got into Bishop State. After that, I didn't work for a little while, but I walked in and one teacher just saw opportunity and he gave me opportunity, and I still got that opportunity today that he's given me. God just really blessed me down here. I stayed in school. Was it easy? No. It still ain't easy now. But I kept pushing. I used a thing where you call ticket to work through disability. They asked me what I wanted to do because I knew that when I got here, I'm going to need some money. I'm going to need more than $600 or $700 a month. So I made a decision they asked me what did I want to do, and talking with a counselor, I told them, because they felt at first I shouldn't go to school, and I said, yes, I'm going to school. I'm not going to stop going to school. I'm going to do it. So I made a short-term goal and a long-term goal. My short-term goal was CNA. I said I want to be a certified nursing assistant, and my long-term goal was to finish school. And that's what I did. And I told them that's what I wanted to do. I went and rehabilitation center for people with disability, paid for my CNAs, and I got my CNAs. It was another happy moment in my life. I was so proud of myself. Also, I had got my scholarship. I received a scholarship from Bishop State to sing on the choir. I led a song, and my teacher walked up to me and said, you have your scholarship. And another happy moment in my life. Got my CNAs, passed my classes, made some friends, started living, got my first job as a certified nurse assistant. Another happy moment in my life. Saved up me some money. No, before I start working as a CNA, let me roll back. I started at the Waffle House. Worked there for a while. And then I got my CNAs. The blessings just overtook me. And then finally, I was able to get up enough money to get me another car. I had 2 cars. Old car, new car. Got the car. I was always calling my brothers and sisters, I got this. Look what I got. I got this. I got that. And they were always telling me, all 3 of them, they said, Lex, I'm proud of you. They was proud to look back at what I had achieved, what I had been through, and how I came through. But I still struggled with church. I didn't want to go to church. I put that on the side for a little while because I just didn't want to deal with going to church. And still, and even talking to my brother, as I was beginning to move up in life, my brother was going down in silence. I wish he would have took his pain like I did and triumphed. I really do. He would have still been living today, but he didn't. The conversations got more about the scriptures, and I just told him I didn't want to hear all that. No. And so God kept blessing me to move up, and he just kept blessing me to move up the ladder. I moved up the ladder to where I was living in another apartment, and God showed me how to do my documentation, and I sued that company. I didn't get a lawyer or nothing. I used the word of God in that situation. I sued that company for neglect on how they let me live, and I was paying my rent faithfully. I thought, when I got to the courthouse, it was already a win-win situation. Moved to another place, and God blessed me with a job that I had been trying to get at for the longest. And I'm there. And I ain't going nowhere. I don't care what kind of conflict come up. I ain't going nowhere, because it was God that gave me that job. I knew I was going to get that job before I got it. So every time I have a hard time, I keep in mind of the blessings that God had blessed me with, and can't nobody take it. I'm the only one that can stop my blessing from happening. And like my life, to say that me and Tom went through a lot of things similar. He was a working person. He worked. He really wasn't into college and all that stuff, but he was just simple. But he worked. My brother worked. Even with his sickness, he worked. He did. He did. He worked. And that's what I love about him. He didn't complain. And that's what they were saying at his funeral. But you know what? I wish he would have. I wish he would have. This is another scripture in the Bible says, the strong bear the infirmities of the weak. That's what we're here for. When I'm weak, somebody else supposed to be strong enough to lift me. See, my brother didn't deal with all of that. All that's in the Bible. All that's in the Word. And he chose to be by himself. He chose that. So, to say this, we went through a lot of things. And there's people today that walk beside each other and don't know each other. But if you talk to each other, you will realize that I've been through that same thing. I've been through that. But if we stop beating each other up and judging from what we see on the surface and look beyond and talk, we can help each other live. We can help each other live. And to HIV patients, to mental illness patients, don't suffer in silence. There's somebody else out there just like you that have HIV, AIDS, don't know God correctly. You can't make it in this world by yourself. You can't. You can't. You cannot make it in this world by yourself. You gotta have some help. But with me, I had to be by myself. Because I always was trying to reach out to somebody. Nobody didn't want to help me. But you know what? That's okay, because God has been my best friend. He have opened doors for me that I never thought would happen. Everything, as a child, I loved at school. And now I get to do that. And I'm going to finish. It's hard right now. It's so hard to concentrate in school. It's so hard to go sing. But I'm going to keep pressing forward, because I know in the press God is going to bless. I know that. So I'm here to tell people, don't struggle alone. There's somebody else out there going through the same thing you're going through. Get a friend to talk to, about mental illness. If you don't quite understand the church you're going to, and it's not adding up with common sense, and it's not added, and you don't feel happy, leave. Pray about it. Examine yourself first. You know, really be honest with yourself. Don't just blame the preacher and say they ain't right. Look at yourself first before you make that step to lead. You know, but something on the inside you're going to tell you. The Spirit of God never lead you wrong. But if you in a church and you in a cult and stuff ain't making sense, fly away and don't look back. Fly away and don't look back, because that is not the way God wants us to live. It's not. Don't struggle alone. You heavy burden, and it's any situation, relationship problems, school problems, any life situation, family problems, and it's bothering you, you better talk to somebody. And I'm at peace with Tom's death, because out of all the years, now I'm still struggling to accept it. It goes back and forth. But at the end of Tom's death, talking to his stepmom, I love her. She is an angel. She told me, she said, Lex, she said, Alexis, she talked proper. She said, I was talking to Tom, and he said that he was going to take his medicine, and we're going to go bike riding, and we're going to do everything together, and he said he's going to get the help that he needs. I said, great. I said, that's awesome. And she said, when I walked out, and I looked back at him, and he said, thank you. And she said, Lexus, he don't really do that. He said, thank you for coming. And he really don't do that. I love her so much. I love her. I love her so much for the courage to take in children that's not yours with a lot of issues. She held it down. I salute her. She's my mama too. I salute her, because it wasn't easy dealing with us with what we've been through, but she did it. So I have to give a shout out to her. And I told her, from a spiritual perspective, I told her, I said, Miss Carmen, I said, do you realize that you helped my brother get in heaven? She said, really? I said, yes. I said, you have to be honest on earth. You have to be honest. You have to be honest. I said, my brother, y'all talked and y'all digged and y'all pushed beyond the barriers of what he was, even the shame on his deathbed, and they broke down the walls, and he finally said, yes, I have AIDS. And when he admitted that he was going to help himself, because she was telling me, she said, I kept asking him, Alexis, so Tom, do you want to live or do you want to die? And she said, Tom kept saying, I want to live. I want to live. I want to live. And he admitted that he had it. And after that, he went into a coma. And his heart started beating, and he died.